Hi, my name's John Wright. And you know what I'm going to do is I had a part one of this where I'm going through my photos and stuff, and I'm going to tell you guys I'm going to go back and I'm going to make sure that I don't miss things. Now right here on this here, I put this Raleigh Bel Air cigarette thing. My folks smoked Bel Air cigarettes. Be liar. And right there's the L and the A. Right there, LA. I'll tell you what, there's a lot into what we're seeing right here. Be a liar and be air. I'll tell you what, my dad was D.B. Cooper, and they went from Bel Air cigarettes to Raleigh cigarettes. They took Bel Air off the market like 1971-ish too, by the way. Then they went to Raleigh cigarettes, smoking Raleigh cigarettes around me. I noticed that, and what they got in this? Well, I see high in it, H-I-G-H, and I'll tell you what, they're living by signs and stuff, and this here Raleigh filter cigarettes, they have this B and M coupon in it, and my folks, they had thousands of B&M coupons they were saving, collecting. They were collectors like pigeon coopers. So anyway, now we've got this $20 bill here. This was found at Tina's bar, and here's Tina Letlow. This is the woman that sat next to my dad, D.B. Cooper, during that flight. And all these have an L in it. My dad's middle name is L, by the way, George L. Wright. By the way, so's the Loggers Jubilee and the Loggers Association in Lewis County, Washington. Also, and that logging association is loggers throughout the Pacific Northwest, by the way. A group of cutters. And they have a saw in the bowling alley in Morton, Washington. And they also have a saw at the hotel, the Seasons Hotel in Morton, Washington, too. And it's painted green. If you tell anyone, we'll cut you in half. And here is Rick Rife. Rick Rife, I met Greg Rife, his brother. But his brother named Greg is actually named John Rife. And that's why Greg Rife made it to me and seen me in Mossy Rock, Washington in 1970. Me and my brother Jim was abducted. We were brought to Lewis County, Washington. We found ourselves in the back seat of an F-85 Oldsmobile. And I'll tell you what, 8 and 5 is how much? 13. The letters of the Zodiac. And here's a green shirt. The sheriff's department was behind this. And Rick Rife is an innocent man. Rick's life depends on the things that I'm saying right now and his freedom, amongst other people, such as the boy that I raised myself, that he has shown a picture of him in a green shirt, wearing glasses, biting his lip. And this is Bruce Kimsey, and Bruce Kimsey is a detective. That's a dirty detective. That's 285 pounds that wants to threaten people that he'll kick their door in like a Republican retard. And there's a Republican retard right there, and they're probably lovers because Bruce Kimsey is probably very much a gay man. That was a detective in Lewis County, Washington. I'm sure that he is not married. He does not have children. And matter of fact, he probably hates children. And he probably hates old people as well. And he's also ROTC. He's Boy Scout, and he's got a grievance against America and Americans. These people right here, they're just glad it's over because this here guy right here and these weirdo Republicans are threatening people in the community to comply. And also there's a boy named Ott that's been murdered, that's been placed behind my brother Jim's house in the last couple years. And there's also been another body that's been hung out there by the Bequedo Cemetery, and that there's where these people's family was found dead. This here Hadler right here, this is Dennis Hadler is who this is. And his parents was found, his mother was found out there dead as a doornail, murdered from a tree farm. My brother Jerry had a tree farm too after this. He had to have a tree farm. And there's my dad's father, Thomas L. Wright, and like father, like son, they were doing it together. There's my dad's bowling alley, and I built that bowling alley. I helped put some of these beams in here, and let's see, here's a saw in front of the bowling alley. We'll cut them in half, and look, these people are standing on the left-hand side of the bowling alley. You know, you couldn't even get in this door over here on the bowling alley because the only door that was open was the door on the right-hand side of the bowling alley. And when you go out that door, you look at the mortuary, it's right there. If you say anything, we'll cut you in half, and you'll be in that cemetery over there. And here's the Fairhearts display, their museum in Morton, Washington. The Historical Society, the Historical Museum, and the Fairhearts family exhibit. The saga continues, and their saga is they're invading Washington State from the river to the sea with credit unions lined from Hoquiam to Lewis County. The 21st one is on 101 Main Street, right across the street from this here, and also they got Fairheart's Way with designer stones behind it, leading to the 2x4 mill, the largest tie capital in the world for railroad ties. So right here, and we have Boy Scouts right here, and this is the museum, and here we've got all these people here. And you know, there's a lot of people here that's dependent on this family. You know, it's like these family, they're the backbones of the community. Here's my dad, my brother Jim. He looks just like this guy right here. There's my dad, a picture of my dad. This was the one that, you know, Tina Letlow did of my dad. There's a picture of my dad right there, and he's wearing those black boots, that wing walker boots that only you can get if you're a jumper out of a plane behind enemy lines in North Korea, by the way. Right here, document of my dad's wedding certificate. Here it goes, Washington State and Maple. It's ironclad. My dad was the Zodiac Killer. Here's a picture of him. This isn't quite a picture of my dad. They didn't want to put a good picture of him. That's an excellent picture of my dad. If they would have put that picture in the newspapers throughout the Pacific Northwest, they would have came to the bowling alley in Morton, Washington. That pearl, that white pearl, Pearl Street in Centralia, Washington, where the credit union was. Twin County Credit Union, they made it. They created a credit union for their dirty money. And then they financed the bowling alley through the bank down there in Morton, Washington. But the bank down there was probably getting the money from there. Herschel down there at the Puget Sound National Bank. And Puget Sound National Bank, that's the same bank that's in Seattle, Washington. It's the Puget Sound National Bank Seafirst, is from what I understand. Now this here bag right here, I witnessed this bag, a bag similar to this, without this silver pulse ripcord on it. And this little thing right here, what I seen was this grain bag right here. It was open right here, and my dad had his legal papers in it, and I'm sure that he had them inside the bowling alley. And this was in one of the lockers that was in the bowling alley. There's my brother Jim right there, a picture of my brother Jim. I did this here on my recreation thing. This is something that I did, but this is an excellent picture of my brother Jim. And that looks like, right here, my brother Jim. And this is an aged image of my brother Jim right there. And here's Debbie. Debbie Ann Wright was passed off as my sister. They kidnapped her from my older sister Bonnie. And look, there's black shoes right there, standing right there. You understand? There's a picture right there, and this is what we'll do to you. We'll kill your little child, like the saw that's on the bowling alley. And here's a picture of the fire hall across the way. And this is Mrs. Burks from Port Angeles, Washington. And in 1970, when my dad returned from California, just before we went to Mossy Rock, Washington, this woman was murdered. This woman was abducted. She was taken away and never be seen again. And was her children right here? Was this boy a Boy Scout? My brothers, they must have known her. This woman had to have come to the gas station at 101 and Gale Street, and 101 and Gale Street is owned by Marty Johnson. And Marty Johnson turned that highway market after it was burnt down in, I think, 2013, 2012, and I contacted them in Port Angeles, Washington, because my dad's businesses and associates' places are getting burnt down, I've noticed. And I started reporting. And this here was, I watched this on TV in Brush Prairie, Washington at my grandmother's house after the Lewis County cops and stuff has ran me off and my family. My gosh, there's something big and major going on here. And this woman, Mrs. Burks, she was murdered, and she's just 2 blocks or 3 blocks away from our gas station and the Highway Market grocery store at 101, you know, and Gale's Addition. You go down to Gale's Addition, down to 5th Street, and you take a left and you go halfway down the block. On the right, there's a green house. It's Sheriff's Green. They painted that building Sheriff's Green just like the Morton Bowling Alley was painted Sheriff's Green. Here I am. I finally figured it out, and I've put a motorhome right here on Morton in Thurston County, Washington, right here on Delphi and Alpine Bowls in Morton, Washington. He named my dad's bowling alley that, and now I'm on Alpine and Delphi, and there's a fire department right across the street. You know, I'm led to believe that the police and the fire department was associated with the John F. Kennedy murder, and I'll get to it right now. We've got that bookstore in Port Angeles, Washington. Marty Johnson turned it into a dirty bookstore. And when I told my sister about it, she just laughed recently. And I know that now this has to do with John F. Kennedy and was my dad in Texas. Boy, I'll tell you what, we've got the Book Observatory in Dallas, Texas, and we have another man that shot up some people in a state, and there's a bookstore there, and there's also music stores next to this stuff. Well, I've got an attorney in Thurston County, Washington, that's on Harrison and I want to say Rhode Island, but no, that's not what it is. It's Plymouth Rock. And you know, he's living by signs, and he threatened me, and he's tried to extort me for what? $47,000. That's 110% more than the law will allow. And by the way, 4 and 7 is 11, and you turn that other one up, it's 11. The cops are behind it. James Rowland's being forced to comply, and also James Rowland's involved in it. James Rowland is nothing more than a dirty Boy Scout, and it's James L. Rowland. It's like James Laverne Rowland, Lavernius. And I'll tell you what, the middle name is like a boy named Sue. These guys are out after revenge. And by the way, here I am sitting here. I found out there's a picture on the wall. I've got this thing up. Here's my back room of my motorhome. And also now they've put a hole in my lion that I put on the outside of this motorhome that's right out here. So they shot across the way from over there by that fire hall, or right here behind Mr. Wallstead's house, and Wallstead and the neighborhood blowing off dynamite. And I'm going to have to cut this off, and I'll be coming back to this story, and I'm uploading this right now, and this is a summary of the first part. And there's my motorhome right there with a bowling alley scene on it with Morton on it, and it's 14 and 20 seconds right now. So I'm going to be shutting this off at 14 and 20 seconds, and I'm coming back for more today.